Hello, everyone, and welcome in. It's Aaron St. Dennis, the FF Mad Scientist, and welcome back to the Mad Science Lab podcast. In case you're wondering, it is not National Hat Day. I think that just symbolizes our enthusiasm for this week of the Waiver Wire. I'm done with this shit. Just done. It's still better than last week, I think, and we need it less. So, all right, here we are. NFL Week 8 Fantasy Football Waiver Wire Show. Got Jesse and Jeremy with me. How's it going, guys?
That's good. Yeah. Survived is the best way I could put Week 7. Some of them were up in the air. It's third week in a row I've made a bad start decision that's cost me a guillotine league. So we're doing great right now.
I will say though, Lamar Jackson and Mark Andrews finally came through. Darren Waller finally came through. So it was a good day for my tight ends. I didn't necessarily change the results. Still hovering around 500 mostly. But I saw a post. I think it was Andrew Hall posted something like, I have a lot of teams that are, 4-3 or 3-4, but they feel way better than they are. And their points, points kind of back that up. And I said, yeah, it feels the same. It's just kind of been a weird couple of months to start out where you have a lot of middling teams that still feel like they can compete.
See, I feel the exact opposite. I have an insane amount of teams that I only have 4 unbeatens left, but I have a lot of 6-1, 5-2 level teams. Mm-hmm. And then I have a lot, because I have so many right now. I have a lot where I would characterize them as operator error, where I've had some, like I told you, I'm in this that college football league with SC where my team should probably be 8-0, but I'm 5-3 because I've set an inactive lineup one day. I had a whole team full of buys the next week. First week I had an illegal I've just had some real operator errors. But I'll tell you one thing: I went into Frankenstein last night up by 83 points. And I'm going, man, this is solid. I'm going to fucking win and I can steal a player here. Ain't no way Jordan Addison puts up 83 points. By that time, I'm sitting there going, I ended up holding on, but I'm sitting there and I'm looking at halftime. I'm going, he's on pace for more than he needs right now. I think he needed 83.5. He was on pace for 40, or he had 47 at halftime. And I'm going, like Frankenstein, the scoring is ridiculous. So I'm sitting there going, wow, this is a lot closer than I thought it would be with Addison in an 83-point lead. But kind of good, fun week. Couple of duds. We've got no major injuries. Who'd we lose? Anybody important?
Jerome Ford had that ankle injury, which seems like it's in a couple of weeks. They didn't say it's high ankle, but yeah, like it's, for some people it's important.
Yeah, in the same vein, I don't know if there's any information on Madison, but he didn't play at all in the fourth quarter. It could just be because he's Alexander Madison. But at the same time, it looked like, he kind of got his bell rung. I don't know if that's going to cost him any games.
I hope he's healthy. That way I can start my victory lap.
Right.
I mean, you can start it either way at this point. So.
Yeah, him and no, I'm waiting to do a duel here. We're about another week away from me being able to officially double duel the victory lap with Madison and Ralph and Kidley. So, yeah, they're both shit. That's
fair.
All right, so let's get into it. We don't have a whole lot of exciting options this week, but there aren't terrible options. I'm going back and forth. This is my article, over at the League Winners. I think this came out last night. Like I said, I've got several options at each range. For shallow leagues, it's typically I go for over 75, but sometimes if I have to, up within 70. Medium leagues, it's 50 to 70% ownership. Deeper, it's 25 to 50. And dart throws are anyone under 25% roster. I'm going to bounce back and forth between this, and then I'm going to compare it kind of with the trending on Sleeper to see who's hot. So I've got the shallow leagues. I've got Jordan Love and Matthew Stafford. I think at this point I'd much prefer Matthew Stafford, but desperate times. My 2 favorite options probably are in this medium range here, CJ Stroud and Sam Howell. Deeper leagues, I've got Kyler. Who knows when he's back? I think it's sooner than later. We've also got Derek Carr, who looks either really good or really terrible. Same with Gardner Minshew in the deep category. And Mac Jones looked like he did week 1. And then after that, he sucked for a while, and then he's good again. But I'm going to flip over to Sleeper. On mine, I won't switch it over. It's a pain in the ass. The number one trending up quarterback is Taysom Hill. That's ridiculous. Then we've got Minshew, Stroud, Dak. I guess that's because he was dropped in a lot of leagues on a bye. We've got Kyler, Malik Willis, Kirk Cousins, Derek Carr, and Tyson Bagent. What do you guys think?
I mean, Minshew's interesting, right?
Turned down JSN straight up.
Stupid dumbass. Tell him he's an idiot. Tell him Jesse Waller said he's an idiot.
Wait, all right. You got to mention that.
So yeah, you want me to mention it? So yeah, Aaron's trying to he's a contender. He's trying to get Cooper Kupp, and the guy has Cooper Kupp. He's setting in JSN straight up for him, and the guy's rebuilding. He's just saying no. And I'm like, why? If you're a terrible team, this is where
he has some pieces. Like, he's got 3 decent receivers. He's got he's got Justin Jefferson, Kupp, and Lamb, but he doesn't have anything else. Like, his quarterbacks are not good. Like, the whole team, his quarterbacks are Deshaun Watson, Kenny Pickett, and I think he has Kyler somewhere down there. But then aside from the 3 receivers, like, he's got Kyle Pitts. His running backs are Stevenson and Madison. Like, this is not a great. Oh, he's got Derrick Henry, but that's another one where he didn't want to sell Derrick Henry either. But
blow it up.
Yeah, I mean,
he is. What is he?
You don't have Jefferson. Like, you don't know when he's coming back. It's just, and Lamb's been disappointing, right? So it's like, that's the type of team that a lot of teams are in, where they have these old guys, and Henry teams in particular. Like, I'm in the League Winners Dynasty League. I have Henry. It's the same shit. I'm like, I can't even trust this guy. Like, literally traded for him and Kupp, and it's just been a disaster. But yeah, that team's still like stacked, so I'm not worried about it. But yeah, it's just frustrating to see it happen. And yeah, if you're in that situation, do it now. Blow it up. Get those points off your roster, especially if you're first. Like,
nobody.
We talk about this all the time, man.
This is not an analyst league. This is a work league where nobody's ever proactive. They all have the best team. They all overvalue their players, and then they wait till their last place and they're 0-10, and then they're like, I have no players, I have no picks, and my team sucks. And then they bitch and they say, maybe we should lower the buy-in next year.
Or you should just, get better at playing this game, right? It's like, this happens in my home league too. We do this all the time. Yeah. And there's like 4 really competitive teams now. Yeah, because of it. It's just, this one is. But I'd say Minshew is a fun target of the quarterbacks. Like, I like him. The offense is interesting with him at the helm. That means they're just going to pass more. It means it's super chaotic offense because you see how this goes with him. It's I think I heard someone say it's like the Jameis Winston a few years ago, because you're going to get a ton of pass attempts, ton of yards, interceptions, turnovers, everything all together. So for fantasy, like, I think it actually works pretty well for him. It's him or Kyler are like my 2 targets of the guys. If I don't need somebody right away, I'm taking Kyler. If I need someone to stream, I'll roll with Minshew on a weekly basis and just go there.
Yeah. My only issue with Minshew is he plays some pretty, decent defenses with also not great offenses. The next 3 weeks are New Orleans, Carolina, New England. So I'm not excited because Indy is a terrible defense, although they've been kind of playing a bit better of late. But maybe that was the who was it back there? The PJ Walker effect from last week, right? Look, I don't love Minshew. I think we probably saw his best game by a significant margin this year. And certainly after the bye in week 11, it's Tampa, it's Tennessee. You're not really getting anything from him in the playoff until the playoffs. So I'm not buying into him right now.
Yeah, I actually like Bryce Young too. Yeah, if you want someone with good matchups, like Bryce Young has 3 like pristine matchups in the next 3 weeks where he could be good for you.
See, you got me all frazzled and pissed off about stupidity in home leagues. I forgot to put the graphic on the screen. I told you in the private chat, say, FYI, I can't see anything. It's not showing on my screen.
Didn't want to call you out.
That's because I was so pissed off. I wasn't even in the thing. Call me on it. It's fine. I was in Sleeper trying to send a trade offer right now because I upped it and did what you said, and I threw in with JSN, I threw in 2 third-round picks because I don't have room for picks anyways. So my roster is literally stacked to where the worst player on my team is Christian Watson. So I don't have room for 3rd-round picks anyway. So
I would say for quarterbacks, I agree. Kyler Murray. I mean, if he's there, if someone hasn't been stashing him, go grab him immediately. I mean, that team is functional. They have good weapons. McBride's coming on. If they can ever get Connor back healthy or figure out what the heck's going on, in that RB rotation and get kind of some solid work. Is it DeMarcado? Is it Ingram? Who is it? If they can find a guy to lock it down, I really like, especially with his rushing upside, I really like Kyler to just kind of do what he always does. So go grab him.
All righty. Let's move on to running backs. Shallow options, we've got A.J. Dillon and Jalen Warren, who both rostered in 70% of leagues or so. Both had various degrees of success. Next up, we've got Kareem Hunt. This one's more dependent on how severe the Jerome Ford injury is. We have Gus Edwards, who looked great, but I don't think we can always rely on an 80-yard reception. Deonta Foreman, who looked great, but how many times can we rely on 3 touchdowns? How long till Roschon and Herbert are back in the lineup? Brings us to our next group, which is the deeper options. We have Roschon. I would imagine he's back in the lineup sooner rather than later. Zeke, who is just kind of a emergency replacement here, and you hope he falls into the end zone. And Tyjae Spears, who I would like to hold in hopes that Derrick Henry gets traded in the next week. The dart throw options are Darrell Henderson. I love I love what he did this week. He looked kind of, pretty good. The problem here is how many times have we done this where, it's Amari DeMarcado all over again, where we blow some budget on him and then he's good and then he's bad and it flip-flops back and forth. I don't trust the way this running back room is going to shake out. We also have DeMarcado mentioned down here and Joshua Kelly, who seems to be taking more of Austin Eckler's workload than expected. I think Eckler is still injured. He got hurt again this game. Over to sleeper, the top 10 are Henderson, DeMarcado, Foreman, Edwards, Akers, Pierre Strong, who I didn't have listed. I don't like that. I guess if Ford is out or goes on an IR, it's a decent stash. I just don't know how good he is. Kareem Hunt, Joshua Kelly, and then 9 and 10 are Devin Singletary and Royce Freeman, who I largely want nothing to do with. What do you guys think?
Yeah, no thank you on those guys. It's not pretty. For me, the guys I want are Darrell Henderson because he's going to be involved in a good offense, and DeMarcado. 2 out of the 3 weeks, he's seen the most snaps all 3 weeks he's played. So, he's been on there. He's been the number 1 running back on the team. It's just the week before, I don't know what happened, but, he didn't get the work. He saw the snaps, and the other 2 weeks he's been at 77%, 80% of snaps, and he basically dominated the backfield last week. So, of these running backs, I want guys that are actually getting touches and in roles to be the actual RB1 for the short period of time. And those are the 2 guys I'm targeting of this group. If you want to stash somebody, yeah, you can stash Roschon. I think he's coming back. I saw a tweet where he's coming back, so you don't know how that backfield's going to split up. But he's an intriguing one as well. And then, of course, Tyjae Spears. The talent is out of control. He's the guy. If you just don't need points, just stash him and just let it happen on the bench.
Yeah, I love Tajay. He's busting out big plays each week, and if he ever becomes the guy to injury or trade with Henry, it's going to be exciting for him. So absolutely grab him. The ones where I struggle with, I've heard Pierre Strong thrown around because of the Ford injury. I've heard, like you mentioned, Singletary thrown around, but even here, AJ Dillon, what are we doing, guys? Leave these guys on the waiver wire, right? Because we know that even with injury, there's not much upside here. As Jesse was mentioning, right? There's some guys we really need to be careful with. Elijah Mitchell is kind of another one who, if he's out there, yeah, you might want to get him, but he's another one who's susceptible to injury. So I love Darrell Henderson. I'd even take a shot on Royce Freeman, that he continues to be kind of the ground and pound guy while Henderson gets the receptions. Like you said, and then Tyjae Spears for sure for me. Latavius, I might throw a dart, but those 3 guys.
Yeah, it's an injury for him. I will say with the Houston offense, the offense coordinator Bobby Slowick said Pierce is a good running back. He just does not fit the scheme, and that's very evident. With the scheme, he's so Singletary is actually not a bad stash. They've been involving him more. You'll probably see work rest of the season because Singletary does not fit the type of offense they want to run. So I don't think it's gonna work very well for him. So he's in massive list.
For me, if I need someone for this week, I think I like Kareem Hunt. If I can afford to stash, it's obviously Tyjae Spears for me. Is it worth it to trade Andrews and Deontay for Kelsey? I think yes.
Yes.
Yes. In
You've
the last
seen
few years, it hasn't been, but this year, I just don't think Andrews is as good with Zay there, and Kelsey's Kelsey. So I do this deal for sure. I take Kelce.
And also
still do
Pickens
it.
is like established himself in Pittsburgh. Like he's very much a part of that offense.
I'd still do the trade, but I disagree. I think Andrews is. I mean, he showed it last week. Doesn't matter what Zay's doing. Andrews is Andrews, but Deontay isn't really doing it for me. So yeah, that upgrade for Kelce is awesome.
It's just I don't think Andrews. Before it was like Kelce Andrews was 1A, 1B. It's not anymore. It's 1 and 2 now. There's no.
Yep.
It's 1 space 2. Like there's no 1A, 1B here. Andrews is not Kelce. Like I even did my trade value chart earlier, and I was surprised based on projections. I was expecting like Kelce to come out 70, 75, and Andrews to be 65. It wasn't. It was like Kelce 73, Andrews 51. So it's a sizable gap now.
Oh, sure.
I think it's worth it. Like Deontay is not going to be like a top 12 wide receiver, so like he's going to be he'll be solid, but like you can replace Deontay a lot easier than you can do. So yeah, I'm doing this deal.
And who's 3? Like Hawkinson? I guess with JJ out, probably.
Yeah, him, Laporta. I'd actually say Waller's up there now too. Like his usage, I saw this. His and like Waller and Laporta stats are like basically dead even through the season now. Like that's how good Waller's been lately.
Yeah, as long as Tyrod stays in there.
Yeah, that's the thing with Daniel Jones. Oh gosh.
Well, that comment kind of perplexed.
Is this Dynasty?
I don't think so. In Dynasty, it's a different story. But if you're in redraft,
I don't care.
I don't care how old he is. They're all equal injury risks in redraft because they could all get hurt at any moment. So
the two biggest advantages in fantasy are Kelce and McCaffrey. If you get either one of those guys in redraft, like you have a sizable edge over everybody else. So yeah, if you can get him,
I don't make the deal. But if it's redraft, I don't care how old he is.
Yeah, Dynasty's no.
Agree.
All right.
And JJ tier.
Yeah, whenever he comes back. Like, please come back.
All right, wide receiver. This is probably my most interesting group, my preferred group here.
Yep.
Shallow options. We've still got Cortland Sutton, who's been producing at a decent low end 2 clip. He's 74% rostered. Deontay 71 if people couldn't hold him. I have an insane amount of leagues that I never realized it till I had Deontay that they don't have IRs. And I don't understand why redraft leagues with short benches don't have IRs. And it annoyed the hell out of me. So before I say who the hell would drop Deontay, I was forced to in a few leagues. So check for him. Medium, we got JSN, Dobbs, Rice, Palmer. I think Dobbs is my least interesting out of that. Deeper options, we have Dell because of the bye, Atwell because of Cup coming back, Shaheed, who just seems to be boom or bust, and Josh Downs looked really good. Dart throws, we've got Wandell and Hyatt from the Giants and Michael Wilson. Hyatt, I think, is turning into Gabe Davis 2.0. His value is solely does he get loose for a long bomb. Wandell is more of a target monster on a crappy offense. I think if you need, I don't even know. I was going to say my favorite option might be Sutton for short term, but I don't even know if that's true. I think I prefer Dell. And then if I stash, I don't mind Rice or Downs.
Yeah, I like that group of 3 you mentioned. Like either one of those guys, if they're available, I want them on my roster. Dell's proven he's a good wide receiver. Same thing with Rice. Like it's more snap usage for Rice, and we don't know if that's going to change. But if it does, he's got probably higher upside than anybody. And if you need the PPR cheat code, just get Josh Downs. Like he's going to scam his way to 10 points each week.
But like, who are you holding on to that you haven't already picked up? JSN or Rashee Rice, right? Or even Palmer, right? Are you like, do you still have like the ghost of Devontae Parker like sitting at the end of your bench? Like you need to kind of go through and assess who you thought would produce or who produced once. I mean, look, I'm gonna do it.
Okay, I got one for you that I think is the common one. Are you willing to give
Aaron, hang on. Let me say this because you're gonna like it. I would be willing to jettison Calvin Ridley for the likes of Rashee Rice.
What?
Yeah.
Oh boy.
I mean, I love his usage. I'm not going to give up on him. But Rashee Rice there is just upward trajectory. I don't know what's going on with Trevor Lawrence and Doug Peterson right now, but they haven't been able to put it together. And Evan Ingram is just dominating targets lately. Christian Kirk came back and did the same thing he did last year. And Ridley, even though he's getting the uses, they're just not connecting. So I'm still holding on hope. But someone like Rashee Rice, JSN, no. But someone like Rashee Rice, I would.
I was going to give you a hypothetical of who you were willing to drop, or if you were willing to drop someone.
Top, yeah.
But no, I was going to say Jahan Dotson. You went way higher than I was even considering.
Yeah.
I was going to say you could just trade Ridley for a running back and then go pick up. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you could definitely.
You can't trade Ridley right now. You can't.
I mean, well, it depends what you're aiming for. Right? You got to lower the sights a little bit, but you can definitely get something.
You might trade him for Rashee Rice. You could trade him for Rashee Rice.
1 second. I forgot to go through Sleeper for the top 10 here. Top 10 ads on Sleeper. We have Josh Downs, Jake Bobo, Patrick Bourne, Rashee Rice, Demario Douglas, Jawan Jennings, Josh Palmer, Brandon Powell, Brandon Cooks, and Tank Dell. So we still see the 3 or 4 or 5 big names that we listed, but there's some ugly names that I didn't include because I don't. If you're in Dynasty, I don't mind stashing Demario Douglas or Jake Bobo. I don't want Jennings. I don't want Powell. I definitely don't want Cooks. So. Some interesting names there.
Yeah, it's just like the guys like Cooks and stuff. You're just taking shots on them being good again. And he had one decent game, so everybody's probably gonna be like, "Ooh, Brandon Cooks is back." It's like, yeah, maybe I don't know. I want to see it a little bit more, but they're all kind of in that range. It's just And Wan'Dale, it's just tough. I just don't trust Wan'Dale enough to really go out and get him.
Yeah, it's really hard with that offense, right? But Downs or Dell for sure. I'm going after him, and I'm spending enough to get him, and Rashee as well.
Yeah.
What do you think about Sutton and Deontay? They have to be rostered, don't they?
Yeah,
they should be on waivers.
Yeah, I think Curtis Samuel's an interesting one too. Like that guy just keeps seeing targets. Like if you need somebody and this doesn't have the sex appeal, like you can grab him probably.
Yeah, and with Sutton, I keep hearing week after week. I know Jesse has said it that he's not good. But he just puts up fantasy points. Russell Wilson is also not good, and they have a not good to not good connection that's making Sutton a little less than not good. So, they don't want to throw to Judy. Fine, he did okay this week, but Sutton still outproduced him again. So I'll take Sutton for sure.
This is my favorite position group here because there's 13 receivers on this list, and depending on how deep I need to go, I don't mind adding a single name out of the 13 here. I think my least favorite would be, the dart throws, Wan'Dale, Wilson, or Hyatt. But I could see scenarios where I've got some deeper leagues where I don't mind adding any of them. Yeah. Like, there's nobody on this list. Like, you go up to running back, there's a few where I'm like, I don't want him. But, there's nobody here where I really don't want them. There's some decent options at wide receiver. So put in decent bids for whoever you like most of Rice, Dell, Downs. I don't know if necessarily one of them is more likely to hit. So I think this is a good week to find, if you're comfortable with 10%, put 10% on all of them and just see which one you get. I don't know. Do you really have one name that you would be willing to spend up for more than any? I have Josh Downs listed as the number 1 for me, but I could also see, I think it might be Rashee Rice for me.
Downs or Rice.
That's that tier of 3 for me. It's Rice, it's Downs, and it's Dell. I want one of those 3 in particular because I trust those guys the most out of everyone else.
Yeah, but
how do you rank them?
Yeah, are you willing to spend significantly more on one of the 3, or is it just put 10% on all 3 and you're happy with whoever you get?
I'll have them ranked, but yeah, it's going to be similar price range, so I'll just take the cheapest of the 3.
Zach Ertz just went to injured reserve, so I hope I have Trey McBride already
on my. Doesn't matter for McBride. I guess we'll find out.
Hey, I didn't put links on some of these.
Kyler comes back.
There he is. Yeah, maybe. At least he has a shot, right?
Before we get into tight ends, though, there's a couple of names who may have been dropped who you should just stay away from. One of the big ones, I think, is Treylon Burks. I think you might see him and be like, ooh, that's interesting. Why would somebody drop him? Because he's just doing nothing, and his quarterback, I don't even know what's up with Tanny, but you need to leave him alone. Another name that I'm probably leaving alone, I had it right here, is Odell Beckham, if he's there.
Yeah, no thanks.
And Jawan Jennings had some targets, but Debo's coming back, right? You just want to make sure that you're staying away from some of these guys who might be a hot name or interesting. Just make sure you're really looking into it and seeing if these guys are good.
It's like Elijah Moore. I'm just like, no, thank you. Like same type of thing. At least Burks, he just keeps getting injured, so there's that excuse. But he has not been good, right? Exactly. Yeah, and like Elijah Moore's just doing nothing. Low ADOT, just nothing. It's just brutal to watch.
Yeah, and Bourne's a good example, right? Bourne, he just kind of has these blow up games, and of course he's being looked to, but you just can't trust him on a weekly basis. You don't know what's going to happen there with that horrific offense that is sometimes not horrific.
Hey, so I will say the New England offense looked respectable last week against the Bills. Like
they sure did.
They actually like you're a fan of it. So like you saw it. Like that was a more like what we saw from like rookie season Mac Jones. So like I expect if they can master that, like they'll at least be decent because they've been atrocious. So I'm curious to see how it looks moving forward. But like just dink and dunk Mac Jones, like that's fine. Like we can support something doing that. It's just
Agree. I just don't know when it's going to happen, right? Because it happened against the Bills, but that defense is decimated. We still think of the Bills as like a top tier defense, but they just have so many injuries. So the next few weeks, you can probably look for a decent game from Bourne against Miami, Washington, and Indy before their bye. But can you? Is Mike Gesicki going to be more involved? In his revenge
is so
game
gross.
this week.
Good Lord.
Is Parker going to come back to life? You just don't know, right? So I'm just kind of staying away because you haven't really been able to trust it.
Yeah, if you're in like super deep leagues, you can like stash, Pop Douglas, but like it's more than likely not going to work out, right? Yeah, like it just depends on how deep the league is.
Yeah, I do like his usage, but as far as Bourne, I'm just staying away.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Excuse me. Let's move on to the tight ends. It's a short list on Sleeper. There's only 4 added. My favorite is the top of the list. We have Dalton Kincaid with Dawson Knox being out for surgery and probably Kincaid's best game so far. Second, we have Taysom Hill. Third, Dalton Schultz. Fourth, Jake Ferguson. 2 of those were on bye. My list, the shallow list here, we got Cole Kmet, who's still 75% rostered, mainly because every time you pick him up, he has a crappy game and you drop him. Medium options, we got Schultz and Njoku. I have a lot of leagues where he's been on waivers because of the freak accident there. People are scared of it. Deeper options, we got Ferguson, Kincaid, Jonnu. Dart throws, Everett, Taysom Hill, Cade Otton, and Trey McBride, who probably would be moving up this list a little bit more for me here in light of Zach Ertz being put on waivers, or not waivers, IR. And it's funny because someone tried to trade me for McBride yesterday, and I was like, no, I kind of want to hold on to him in case anything ever happens to Ertz. He's always risked to get injured. And perfect. Ryan Tannehill won't practice Tuesday. Malik Willis and Will Levis will be the 2 quarterbacks for Tennessee on Sunday.
If Levis cannot beat out Willis, good grief! Just give Will Levis a shot, man. We've seen Malik Willis is like 3 years out. It's just
what were you saying about Treylon Burks?
Just reiterating, leave him alone.
No, thank you. Like even if they traded Hopkins, it's still just gross. Like you don't have a capable quarterback, and like he had decent rookie year metrics, but those injuries, man, they just pile up. And it's like Rashad Bateman all over again. You just can't trust these guys.
Exactly.
If this offense is so good, they definitely don't miss AJ Brown at all.
No, not at all.
Good old Burks at
third. So what was the stats they posted the other day on the game? AJ Brown has more receiving yards himself than the entire Titans pass catch. Like every offensive weapon.
It's brutal.
Well, and then what's his name? Sirianni got in the post-game presser and was like thanking the Lord and Howie Roseman for the $100 million to pay AJ Brown. So.
All right, so what are your thoughts here on the tight end market? Kincaid, the number 1 target?
Kincaid, and like we're dropping down before we go. Like a lot of these guys are all these just like middling tight end ones, like high tight end 2s, where the usage is never great and they can burn you with like low floors. At least Kincaid, we're betting on a rookie who's like had a really good production profile, 1st round pick, like in the best offense with the best quarterback. So that's like the scenario I'm targeting where like he's clearly above everybody else. And then like I'd take a flyer on McBride too if you want, but it's like Kincaid and then I'm dropping down because Kincaid actually has more upside than everybody else here. Like I'll actually target him.
Yeah, I agree. And one thing that I've seen in the Buffalo offense is Josh Allen was trusting Gabe Davis. In the beginning of the season, he's rightfully stopped trusting Gabe Davis. So they still are in need of that number 2. So Kincaid, he did it last week. There's no reason why he shouldn't continue that trend. I also like shots on Ferguson and Logan Thomas if he's around. And I don't think Gerald Everett is a bad dart throw there either. Last couple of weeks he's come on, and Josh Palmer just isn't doing enough to kind of take away those targets. So.
Yeah, these guys are all fine. You just kind of know what you're getting with them. They're running like 60% of routes, which isn't great, and then they're just super not efficient. Like that's always the problem with these guys. But they're solid. You can like stream them and play them.
But agree, Trey McBride is a really good dart.
For me, it's Kincaid, a huge step down, and then Mayer and McBride.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I didn't even see Mayer on your list.
Vegas, man.
I normally only like to go 2 or 3 from each range, and I think he fell in here. And I was like, I probably should have bumped out Jonnu and put him in because I love. Although Jonnu's been producing, so it's just
every week.
He fell into a group where there was just too many players, and you know what it was? I think he's been the cover on this article for like 3. Is he even on the cover of this one? He is.
Oh, yep. You're right. I completely forgot him because it didn't seem on the list. I was like,
I must have deleted it by mistake because I was going to say, why is he not on the list? He's the fucking cover. So
him and Musgrave. If you want to target a tight end with upside, him and Musgrave are the other guys. I don't want those rookies. And they seem like they're good. The issue for Musgrave is we don't know how bad that injury is. Thankfully, it's not a concussion. It's like an ankle injury. So it's not as bad as we thought it was.
What's the rostership on Musgrave and Mayer? Sorry.
It's 30-ish. Low on ESPN. Musgrave's at 26 and Mayer's at 9% on ESPN. They're not even close to roster. Yeah, people just don't trust them.
I mean, Mayer's tough. He'd be at the bottom of that list for me of those guys just because it's Vegas. And
we need Jimmy G back.
But it doesn't matter that much. I mean, I agree. It matters for Mayer, but for this offense, it's just it's trash. It was.
We saw what kind of happens with what's his face, Brian Hoyer. Or O'Connell. At least O'Connell was I just don't understand why they wouldn't start O'Connell in their situation. Right? They're not going to contend.
Josh McDaniels.
You're not going to win. I don't. It's just so stupid.
I'd be shocked if he lasts until the bye week, which I think is week 13 at this point for the Raiders.
I don't think Adams would be too upset about that. That's true.
No, or anyone really. Jeez.
Right.
You know what I did? I was in such a hurry trying to update this on the fly to add Trey McBride, who wasn't originally included, that when I went to save Trey McBride, I just highlighted it and clicked over Mayer and Musgrave. That's why I cut out one of my favorite targets of the week for Trey McBride.
We didn't talk about Taysom Hill real quick. He's interesting if they use him, right? He's still probably got that quarterback tight end eligibility in most leagues. Which is going to help you through some bye weeks. It's going to get pretty thin again, although it's not too bad this week coming up with no teams on bye for some reason. But I don't have a problem adding Taysom just to see if we can keep it up, but I can't start him yet.
Yeah. I mean, they're playing Indy and Chicago back-to-back weeks. I'm fully fine with that. You know what? You need a tight end to throw a dart at. Go for it. It's like we talk about this all the time. It gets tight end 10 and it just gets gross. So it's literally just pick a guy you want because you're struggling, right? It's like Gerald Everett. Cool, he's going to give me 2 catches and a touchdown for 8 points. It's that's what it is. It's
just don't pick Hayden Hurst.
No, thank you.
All right, well, a bit of a short one today. Usually is because waiver wire sucked because the waiver wire sucks. There's no great options, especially if you're in a half-decent league. Most of the good options are picked. I have times where I'll sit there and be like, oh, this guy's injured. Let's go see if I can add the RB4 on the team. And I'll look at him like, oh, he's owned in 83% of my leagues. People are fucking
about right.
That's the downside of the internet. I remember before this was really big, not even maybe 5-10 years ago, before this really blew up. You could just go and I could stream any position off the waiver wire. Now you go in and it's there's wide receiver 37 rostered on the Giants. It's I don't even know who that guy is. I do this and get paid to do this. And there's times where I have to Google. I see people in my work leagues that are just casual players and they'll add players. And I'm going, wonder what podcast they listen to because I don't even know who that is. So I don't know how they would know. All righty. Well, that concludes our NFL Week 8 Fantasy Football Waiver Wire show. Come back on Thursday. We are doing AFC home game preview, I believe, because I think it's Tampa at Buffalo. Or is it Buffalo at Tampa? Tampa at Buffalo, I think.
It's Tampa at Buffalo, yeah.
So it's the AFC home game preview at either noon or 12:30. For Aaron, Jesse, and Jeremy, thank you for tuning in to the Mad Science Lab podcast. Hopefully, Week 7 wasn't a total shit show for you, and moving forward to Week 8. Take care, everyone. Have a good day.